People notice something about INFJs long before a single word is spoken. It's not their voice, their appearance, or even their expression, it's the energy they carry. A quiet depth. A calm intensity. A presence that feels both gentle and strangely intimidating at the same time. People sense it instantly, even if they can't explain it. Why does an INFJ walk into a room and suddenly the atmosphere shifts? Why do strangers open up to them without thinking? And why do certain people grow nervous, guarded, or overly polite in their presence? In this video, you're going to discover the subtle psychological signals INFJs radiate without trying, the ones that make people adjust their tone, reveal hidden truths, and behave differently around them. If you click away early, you'll miss the part where everything becomes clear, the invisible force INFJs project, and why people feel it before a single word is spoken. Before we start, answer this in the comments. Do people treat you differently the moment you walk in, even when you haven't said anything yet? If you're new here, subscribe to Brainy Quiet Mind. This channel helps you understand the power you've carried your whole life without realizing it. People sense an emotional depth in INFJs that feels rare and immediately noticeable. There is something unmistakable about an INFJ the moment they enter a room. An emotional depth that needs no introduction, no words, no explanations. People feel it before they understand it. It's in the way the INFJ's eyes soften when they observe the room, in the quiet steadiness of their presence, in the subtle gravity that suggests they're carrying stories, insights, and unspoken understanding beneath the surface. This depth isn't dramatic or loud. It's calm, warm, and strangely magnetic. People may not be able to name what they're sensing, but they know they are in the presence of someone who feels more, sees more, and understands more than the average person. It's a depth that makes superficial energy shrink back and genuine hearts lean in. Inside the INFJ, this depth is not something they intentionally project. It's simply who they are. Their inner world is layered, rich, reflective, and full of emotional awareness. They feel life intensely, but quietly. They observe the emotional tone of a room the way others notice decor. They sense tension, sincerity, insecurity, and authenticity with a sensitivity that feels almost otherworldly. And without saying a word, this inner depth radiates outward. People pick up on it instinctively. Some feel drawn to it, sensing a rare kind of emotional intelligence and gentleness. Others feel overwhelmed, sensing that the INFJ can see beneath their surface, past their masks, into the parts of themselves they don't show. This immediate sense of depth changes the entire atmosphere. Strangers lower their voices. Confident people become more thoughtful. Guarded individuals hesitate, unsure why they suddenly feel transparent. It's not intimidation, it's awareness. The INFJ's depth creates an emotional clarity around them, like a quiet field that reveals things usually hidden beneath noise and distraction. People who are used to skimming through interactions feel something shift. They sense that this person won't judge them, but also won't be fooled by them. They sense sincerity is expected, not through pressure, but through presence. What makes this emotional depth so powerful is that it asks for nothing, yet evokes honesty. It demands nothing, yet commands attention. It tries to hide, yet reveals itself effortlessly. INFJs don't have to speak to make an impact. Their emotional depth introduces them before their words ever do. And people feel it instantly, often long before they understand why. INFJs radiate a calm, grounded presence that makes others adjust their energy. When an INFJ enters a room, something subtle but undeniable happens. The emotional volume drops. Chaos softens. Loud personalities become more measured. Even people who walked in carrying tension feel their shoulders loosen without knowing why. This isn't magic or manipulation, it's the natural impact of the INFJ's grounded presence. They don't come in trying to control the environment. Their calm simply fills the space with a quiet order. People instinctively match their energy, as if the INFJ creates an emotional center that everything else gravitates toward. And long before the INFJ speaks, others begin adjusting their tone, their pace, their attitude, sensing that loudness or drama simply doesn't belong in this person's presence. Inside the INFJ, this grounded calm is the result of constant internal reflection. They process emotions deeply, but rarely display them impulsively. They carry a steady inner world built on understanding, intuition, and awareness. This inner quiet radiates outward, not forced, not performed, but lived. People pick up on that stability instantly. They sense that the INFJ isn't easily rattled, isn't pulling energy from the room, and isn't trying to impress anyone. Their groundedness becomes a kind of emotional anchor that others subconsciously rely on. In a world full of noise, the INFJ feels like the one still point where everything momentarily settles. This calm presence affects different people in different ways. Those who are anxious often feel soothed, drawn toward the INFJ without understanding why they suddenly feel more at ease. Those who are used to dominating conversations notice their voices soften, their gestures become smaller, their ego recalibrates. Those who thrive on chaos or emotional volatility experience a strange discomfort. They realize their usual tactics lose power here. The INFJ's grounded energy acts like a mirror. Anyone unstable feels exposed. Anyone genuine feels welcomed. Anyone manipulative feels blocked. People adjust not because they fear the INFJ, but because they feel the weight of someone who doesn't operate at the surface level. The INFJ doesn't try to command the room. The room simply responds to their presence. Their calm shifts the emotional rhythm, slows impulsive reactions, and invites a level of sincerity that wasn't present before. And the remarkable part is that the INFJ isn't doing anything intentionally. Their groundedness is a quiet force people sense before a single word is spoken, an invisible signal that says, "This is a space for depth, not noise, for truth, not performance, for presence, not chaos." Their eyes carry an intensity that makes people feel seen without being judged. INFJ eyes have a way of landing on someone that feels less like a glance and more like being understood. It is not a stare, not a challenge, not an evaluation. It is a quiet, perceptive intensity that reaches past whatever mask someone is wearing. People feel it instantly. A person can be mid-sentence, mid-performance, mid-defense, and when the INFJ's eyes meet theirs, something inside of them softens. They feel seen, not exposed, not criticized, but genuinely recognized in a way that almost no one else offers. The intensity isn't aggressive, it's attentive. It's the depth of a mind that notices nuance, and the warmth of a heart that refuses to judge first. This gaze disarms people because it goes deeper than the surface they present to the world. The INFJs sees the flicker of emotion someone hides, the hesitation behind a smile, the shift in tone that reveals fatigue or insecurity. They read micro-expressions effortlessly, catching small truths people didn't realize they revealed. And because the INFJ doesn't weaponize what they notice, people feel an unusual mix of vulnerability and safety. They suddenly find themselves being honest, dropping pretenses they usually cling to. The INFJ's eyes pull authenticity out of people, not by force, but by offering a space where truth feels welcome. For some, this is comforting. People who long to be understood gravitate toward that intensity, sensing someone who can hold their real emotions without flinching. But for others, especially those who rely on masks, manipulation, or emotional distance, that same gaze becomes unsettling. They feel as if the INFJ sees too much: motives unspoken, cracks in the facade, contradictions between words and energy. Even without a single judgment, the INFJ's eyes make them aware of their own inconsistencies. They feel transparent, almost involuntarily honest, and that experience can be intimidating for anyone used to hiding behind noise or confidence. What makes INFJ eyes so powerful is that they reveal presence. They show that the INFJ is truly there, not drifting, not distracted, not waiting to talk. Their attention is complete, and that level of presence is rare. People feel understood before they've even explained themselves, accepted without having to earn it, and illuminated without feeling criticized. Their gaze speaks quietly, "I see you." Not just what you show, but what you try to hide. And for many, that single moment of wordless recognition is more transformative and more unsettling than any conversation. Strangers instinctively trust them, feeling safe to open up without knowing why. There is something about an INFJ that dissolves emotional distance within minutes. A stranger can sit beside them on a bus, stand behind them in line, or share a silent moment in a waiting room, and suddenly, without planning to, they begin talking. Not small talk, not surface-level chatter. Real things. Personal stories. Confessions they have never said out loud. The INFJ doesn't ask for this. They don't pull it out of people. It just happens, naturally, as if their presence loosens the knots people didn't realize they were carrying. Strangers sense a rare kind of emotional safety, the kind that tells them, you won't be judged. You won't be mocked. You won't be misunderstood. This trust forms because INFJs radiate a calm, accepting energy. They listen before they speak. They observe before they react. Their body language is open, their tone gentle, and their attention real, qualities most people rarely experience. In a world full of distractions, performance, and ego-driven conversations, the INFJ's quiet focus feels like shelter. Even someone who guards their emotions fiercely can feel their defenses soften in the INFJ's presence. It's as if their intuition whispers to them, you can rest here. You can be real here. But the trust goes deeper than atmosphere. INFJs carry an unspoken understanding of human nature. Their intuition connects dots quickly. Pain hidden behind humor, loneliness disguised as anger, uncertainty masked by confidence. And because they approach these truths with compassion, not judgment, people feel safe revealing the parts of themselves they usually bury. They do not fear being misunderstood. They do not fear being dismissed. For once, they feel fully heard. This instinctive trust often surprises both sides. The stranger walks away, wondering why they said so much, why they felt so seen, why this quiet person felt like emotional gravity. Meanwhile, the INFJ simply absorbs the moment with humility, never manipulating the trust or seeking attention for it. They know that vulnerability is a gift, one they protect fiercely. And that is precisely why people open up, because on some level, they sense they are in the presence of someone who will handle their truth with care, even if they never meet again. Certain individuals feel intimidated because the INFJ's quietness reveals more than words. Some people cannot handle the kind of silence an INFJ carries. It is not an empty silence, not a void waiting to be filled with noise. It is a perceptive, attentive silence, one that listens deeper than speech and notices far more than what is shown. The moment an INFJ enters a room, people who rely on performance, charm, or emotional manipulation feel something shift. They sense, often without fully understanding why, that this quiet presence is seeing through them. Not judging, not attacking, simply seeing. And for those who depend on illusion, that alone is intimidating. The INFJ's silence functions like a mirror. While they sit calmly, others become hyper-aware of their own tone, their own inconsistencies, their own masks. They feel exposed without the INFJ having said a single word. This discomfort does not come from confrontation. INFJs rarely confront directly. It comes from the internal realization that their usual tactics, Control through noise, dominance through intensity, persuasion through charisma fall flat in the presence of someone who watches without reacting. The INFJ's quietness strips away distractions, forcing people to sit with themselves. Those with unstable emotions feel the contrast sharply. The INFJ's steady demeanor highlights their volatility. Those who manipulate feel powerless because the INFJ does not give them the emotional feed they need. Those who hide behind confidence feel their facade crack when an INFJ's eyes linger for a moment too long, calm, curious, unshaken. It is in that silence, that effortless awareness, that insecurity rises to the surface. What unnerves these individuals most is not what the INFJ says, but what they might know. The INFJ reads microshifts, emotional currents, and subtle intentions far more accurately than others expect. Their quietness suggests insight, and that insight feels threatening to anyone who fears being understood too deeply. Without speaking, the INFJ reveals truths people try to bury. Yet the INFJ never uses this quietly powerful perception to dominate. They simply exist with sincerity and depth. But to the wrong people, that alone feels like danger. Their aura signals authenticity, making insincere people uncomfortable instantly. INFJs walk into a space carrying something most people can't name, but immediately feel: an aura of quiet authenticity. It's not forced. It's not deliberately crafted. It's simply who they are, unfiltered, genuine, anchored in their own inner truth. And for people who hide behind masks, who rely on pretense or performance, this authenticity feels like a spotlight pointed directly at their charade. They sense, often within seconds, that they cannot manipulate the energy, cannot control the narrative, cannot be anything other than what they truly are. The INFJ's presence dissolves illusions without a single word spoken. Insincere people thrive in environments where others are too distracted, too naive, or too self-involved to notice the cracks in their behavior. But INFJs do this. They move slowly, observe quietly, and absorb emotional cues with precision. This steady awareness unsettles those who prefer to keep their intentions hidden. They don't understand how the INFJ sees past their polished tone, their rehearsed kindness, their confident posture. They only know that being near an INFJ feels like standing in a room with no shadows left to hide in. The discomfort grows, not because the INFJ exposes them openly, but because the INFJ's calm authenticity reveals how unnatural their own behavior is. There is also something disarming about how transparently the INFJ operates. They speak from sincerity, they listen with real presence, and they do not play psychological games. This alone disrupts people who depend on masks to navigate social dynamics. When they cannot predict the INFJ's reactions, when they realize the INFJ is not moved by superficial charm, when their usual strategies fail, it breeds insecurity. The contrast between authenticity and illusion becomes impossible to ignore. Even without confrontation, the INFJ's energy invites people to drop the false layers and show their real selves. Those who fear that exposure instinctively step back, becoming defensive, cold, or strangely agitated. They sense that the INFJ sees them more clearly than they see themselves. They sense that pretense will not survive in this presence. And because authenticity is rare, powerful, and quietly disruptive, it makes insincere people uneasy the moment an INFJ enters their orbit. When you understand what INFJs reveal without ever speaking, you begin to see why their presence alone shifts the entire emotional atmosphere of a room. They don't need confrontation, they don't need volume, and they don't need explanation. Their truth speaks for them. And the people who fear that truth, they expose themselves long before the INFJ ever would. That's the quiet power most will never recognize until they feel it directly. Before you scroll, answer this. Have you ever made someone uncomfortable simply by being calm and authentic? If you watched until the end, type, "I walk in truth." Subscribe to Brainy Quiet Mind so you never miss the next insight. because the more you understand this INFJ presence, the stronger and quieter your power becomes.